Brothers, I want to talk to you about the difference between healing and transformation. Now, those two words may sound similar. They may sound like there's very little difference between them, but actually there's quite a big difference between the notion of healing something and the notion of transforming something that I want to talk about, because once you are able to understand the distinction between these two things, what you can do is then use the information to make really clear choices about what you need to do to better your circumstances. And look, that's why you're here, right? That's why you're here in this meeting or watching this video, that there is something within you that wants to do better, that wants to be better. Okay, and that's one of the things that really connects everything that we do in our programs and our platform, is this kind of foundational drive to become a better version of ourselves, right? And once we kind of reach that moment in time, or that awareness, we can then make choices that can help us go ahead and achieve these things systematically. And this notion of a distinction between healing and transformation actually occurred to me from a friend of mine who approached me and asked me to do some work with her. And what she was currently engaged with and what she's doing is she got really into the practice of using some medicinal medicines or plants, i.e. psilocybin or even MDMA, in a therapeutic setting. Okay, so what she has now become really good at, and this is a whole world right now, right, where Michael Pollan wrote that book, and there's people using these kind of substances to help get at the root and the core of things that are holding us back. And so my friend came to me and she said, hey, look, I'm getting trained in this new way of healing and this new way of helping people become better versions. And I'd love to have you come in and kind of be a guinea pig for me, right? And kind of come in and just sit with me and be somebody that can help me determine how to best do this. And the reason why she came to me, and this is so important, the reason why she approached me was that she knows my history. I'm somebody who has a 20-year history of doing anything and everything to heal himself, okay? And she knows that I have spent time down in the Amazon meeting ayahuasca, meeting these plant medicines to kind of like get to the root of what's holding me back. She knows that I've done countless meditation retreats and 10-day Vipassana meditation retreats. She knows that this is my life professionally, that I work with and talk to teachers all day long. And, I'm a big time meditator and I'm always like doing work on healing myself. I've done deep dive retreats where I've dealt with my mommy and my daddy issues to kind of get to the root of whatever was holding me back. And so naturally, she came to me with this new methodology, that's now emerging and becoming bigger in our world, and said, look, Todd, come in. I know you're going to say yes. I'm going to help you heal more. I'm going to help you kind of get behind whatever fear or limitations are holding you back through this unique process. And she was very assumptive that I was going to be a big yes to doing this. And, when she asked me, I wasn't a big yes. And it was a very interesting moment in time, because there was something that wanted to say yes to her, because, I want to help her. And I love this kind of stuff. I love exploring my own mind. But there was a difference. I noticed a difference in that moment in time, and I had to honor that. And I slept on it. And the next day I called her and I said, I'm not really wanting to do this right now. And she said, oh, that's fine, but why? And I realized that I was at a moment in time where I didn't really want to look backwards. I didn't really need to go and dig up whatever pain and suffering and traumas I had, because we all have them. And I was actually just more interested in being in the present moment and looking forward. And when I reflected on this more over the coming days and weeks and months, I started to realize that this was a huge shift in me, because I had spent years looking at my past, trying to understand the nature of my fear, trying to understand the nature of my negative thinking, my limited mind, right? It's part of the reason why you're watching this, because we all have this. The whole basis of the personal development and growth fields is this notion that we have negative narrations and positive narrations, and we're trying to find the positivity and create those as default mechanisms, okay? And those negative narrations tend to come from past traumas, past circumstances, situations that happen to us. And healing work is defined as looking at those things and trying to understand them, to bring them into the light, so that way we can heal them and move forward from them. This is what therapy work is. This is what healing work is in general. And my friend approached me with the assumption that I'm someone that's always a yes to healing myself. That's always a yes to kind of bringing stuff up in the past, and then healing it so I can move forward and become a better, cleaner version of myself, right? This is why she came to me. But I wasn't a yes. And it was surprising to her, but more surprising to me. And what crystallized in that moment was this idea that there really is a difference between healing work and transformation work. Okay? And the way that I would define it, and again, this is nothing, psychologically based, this is just kind of like from my own experiences of working with thousands of people, of doing this work myself for so long, is that healing is necessary. And look, right off the bat, I'm not here to say that healing is bad, that we don't want to do healing work. That's ridiculous. Of course we do. Okay? Healing is always going to come up naturally. But the way that we define it is that healing is looking at the past, trying to understand and examine why certain things are the way that they are, why our mind is set in a certain way, why our circumstances and our behaviors are kind of caught in these loops. And healing is an examination of the past in various ways to try to understand why our present moment lives the way that it does. Healing work is freaking amazing. I've done, like I said, more of it than almost anyone that I know. I've spent 20 years healing myself, healing myself until boom, I had this moment of awareness where it's like, you know what? I don't need to heal myself so much any longer. And this is the critical moment in time that I'm sharing about my life, but maybe it's something that's going to resonate for you right now, because once you get to the point where you realize that the past is the past and it is what it is, it doesn't demean or dismiss the power and the necessity to heal oneself. It just means that there's a different choice that can be made right now in the present moment. And for me, what I realized when I went deeper into this was that what I'm really interested in right now is transformation. And transformation is right now looking forward. What do I want to create? What do I want my life to look like in the future? What are the circumstances? What are the experiences that I want to have? What's the work I want to have in the world? What's the body that I want to have? What's the feeling of connection and community that I want in my life, right? The things that I want. And focusing my attention on that. And it was almost a critical moment in time where I realized that while healing never ends, that my general focus needed to shift away from the past and focused on things that happened and things I didn't realize about myself, over until, you know what? I'm good right now. I'm okay with what's ever happened in the past, and I'm just going to look forward. I am freaking ready to look forward and just focus on the things that I need to focus on. And this was a foundational shift in my life. That's changed everything. It brought me back so much energy, because while healing work is so necessary, and look, if you're hearing me say this, you're like, man, like this guy's sitting here saying, let's not heal ourselves. Let's not look at our past. Let's not examine and heal the traumas that have happened to us. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is a time and a place that this is always going to be in play and powerful. I'm just trying to frame out a difference between focusing on the future and focusing on the past. And I will tell you that once you go down the rabbit hole of looking for things in your past to unravel, it can often be hard to get out of that rabbit hole. I mean, I was guilty of that. Anyone on this live call guilty of kind of like focusing on the past, thinking about the past, and all of a sudden, like all these things come up. Well, my mom said this to me when I was 7 when we were in the store, and that really affected me. And, or maybe you had some really serious things happen along your way, and you start to understand that when you're really focused on healing the past, it's a never-ending rabbit hole of things and circumstances and perceptions that formed along the way. And for some people, you may go back into past lifetimes. That's a whole other lineage, a way of thinking about healing work, and that's totally okay. And if that's not you and you're just thinking about, well, this lifetime that I have now and all these things that happened in childhood with my mommy and my daddy and the love that I did get and didn't get, you start to see that healing never ends, okay? It never ends. And so it can be a conscious choice to turn the faucet off, which is what happened to me. So that way we can be here now and focus on the future. It's a fundamental shift in mindset about how I can go about becoming that best version of me. Because that's why you're here. You are not here to heal yourself, and you are not here to transform yourself. Okay? These are just strategies. What you're here to do is to unleash just the best version of you. You want the most joy, you want the most abundance, you want to feel alive, you want to soak every last ounce of this life up while you're here. You know, I often say to our guys in our communities, and I have them visualize their great grandparents, right? Like right now, visualize your great grandparents, right? They lived what, 150 years ago? Do you know their names? Do you know who they were? Probably not. Almost every person I ask this to has no idea who their 4 great grandparents were. And there's a reason why, is that they lived their life. They did everything that they could in their life. They passed, and now we're here 100, 200 years later, and we're living our lives. But I want to tell you that those people who's your lineage, my lineage, right? The people that like brought us here, that are responsible for this life, they also had their circumstances. They had their pains, they had their dreams, they had their sorrows, their grief, their loss, their wanting to create a difference in the world, their wanting for family and community and their money situations. Like they had all the same stuff that we have. Okay, but those stories are now gone. It's in the past. All right, now we're living, we're alive right here, doing this work. And guess what? In 200 years from now, we won't be remembered for the most part, right? There'll be lineages that have continued on, and those people will then be living their lives, our descendants, taking things so seriously. And we have an opportunity right now as brothers, as men, to realize that these lives are so very special, okay? Like so sacred to be the ones living right here, right now. And we all want the same things. We want to be expressed. We want to have community. We want to have purpose. And the question is how? So if you're somebody who loves healing work, okay, and is in the healing phase right now, wants to heal, wants to bring stuff up. Maybe there's some pretty big lifts there. Maybe there's some pretty big things that happen that you haven't been able to compensate for. I just want to share that in my decades worth of healing, it was absolutely necessary. I needed to become aware of certain things that formed my personality, that formed the way that I view and perceive the world. So that way I could heal it, become aware, and move forward to make better decisions that would help me get to the goal faster, living an extraordinary life. Okay, so this is not a poo-poo on healing, absolutely not. It's just, again, awareness that there is a distinction between looking forward and looking back. And the looking back piece can become highly compulsive. We just kind of are always looking back. And that was what happened between me and my friend. It was just this moment in time, I'm like, boom, I'm ready to look forward. And honestly, brothers, like everything changed when I did that. Okay, like my whole orientation, my energy levels changed. Like I kind of was able to put the past in the past and just be here now and focus on the things that I want to do. It was almost as if I had done enough healing work to now be here where I can really focus on the things that I want to do. I was ready to achieve. I was ready to unleash the greatness in my life. Big moment in time. If you're resonating with this, give me a little chest bump right now. Like, are you ready right now to not worry so much and obsess over all the past stuff and the traumas and the fears and this, and just to be here in this moment in time, looking forward and saying, well, what do I want to do? The future's an ocean that we can create. It's full of potential. The past is full of certainty. Things happened. Okay, things happen. The future's open. We are creating it in every moment. It's exciting. It's scary too sometimes, right? But it's exciting. And so that shift is huge. Now let me tell you a little bit of a secret around this kind of shift from healing over to transformation, because it isn't all black and white. Okay, these things are so intertwined. It's ridiculous to think that, I'm going to turn the faucet off of healing, and now I'm just going to transform myself, and live my greatest future. That's not how this works. When you do shift your sights, okay, over to the future, and you're like, all right, I'm ready. You know what? Like, I'm ready right now to be the best man that I can be. Like, this is just a choice. It's a conscious choice to be, boom, here now, like, I'm ready for this. I'm ready to do whatever it takes to create that future that I so badly want, right? You then go out and you start doing stuff, right? You start, trying to create that life. You go into processes like what we do, and you start doing practices, and you start exploring, you start testing things, you start getting feedback, and your energy is now here. It's like looking forward. And what inevitably happens is that things from the past come up, okay? Your ideas and thoughts of limitation, your fears, okay? Your, feelings of inadequacy or worthiness or worthlessness come up. The things that you're healing anyway come up as you turn your sights towards creating your future. It's just a different orientation for how to deal with it. So you're always healing. And what I found in doing this, and brothers, I really hope you get this from me, is that when you turn your sights into the future, the healing work doesn't end. In fact, it's a different way of doing it, and it often accelerates. I have healed myself more in the last several years of turning my sights to the future than I ever did when I was focused on healing itself or healing the past. And the reason why is that when you turn forward, there's leverage, there's motivation. Actually, now when I look at my life and I look at the next 30, 40, 50 years, however long I live, there's visions that get me excited. I'm like, wow, like there's a lot that I can do. There's a lot of adventures that I can have. There's a lot of connections I can have with people like you. There's a lot more family that I want to have. And I'm focused on that. And when the fears come up, when the limitations come up, when I have a bad day, when I have a bad moment, when like I feel beaten down, okay? That's that old stuff, right? The old mindset, that came from whenever it came from, whether your past lifetime, whether, something that happened as a child, whether circumstances where you got hurt, that comes up and reveals itself in the moment when you're trying to create the future. You then have the opportunity to heal, okay? And what I found is that moment of healing can be profoundly accelerated because you're now connected with the excitement about the future, meaning you're looking forward. There's a reason why you're healing. One of the things that I found in all these years of looking back and going into, medicine ceremonies and like so many countless hours of meditation and journaling and therapy work, and so much stuff that I did, is that a lot of it's heavy. It can be heavy, right? And I wasn't motivated to get through it. There wasn't a reason why. I wasn't connected with the positive, exciting side of this life. I wasn't, connected with the potential of what I could do. It was just more like I was healing stuff. Just like healing like this heavy stuff. And I'm like, this is how I think about things. And this is why I can't find a partner or a wife, because, oh my God, this is how I think about relationships between men and women. Wow. And you're just living in this world, and it's beautiful, and it's raw, and there's nothing wrong with it. But when you're looking forward, you can meet those moments, those limitations, because you're always going to meet them. But you do it in a way where you're also connected with the future, like the excitement. It creates leverage for yourself, okay? Meaning that when you meet the limitation, you can then move forward faster because you have leverage, because you're connected with the thing that you really want to achieve anyway. Does that make sense, guys? Like super, super important stuff. Like this distinction between healing and transformation. And transformation is really a focus on the future. Absolutely life-changing to get this distinction, because what you then do and how you make decisions in your day-to-day and how you make decisions in terms of how you're growing. And I hope by now of getting to know me that this conscious choice to grow is a conscious choice, meaning like this isn't just something that we do. This is a part of our lives now, that we are always growing. We are always curious about who we are. And then the lens that we can throw on this is one by which we say, let's focus on the future. Let's transform ourselves. And let's fully understand that the healing work that's going to need to happen is going to happen with this new trajectory, with this new lens. And it's going to enable me, it's going to empower me to go through the process faster, to actually achieve the things that I really want in this life, because I'm focused and connected with that, where I'm going, not where I've been. Massive. Absolutely massive to make this shift. And brothers, the last thing I want to share on this is, for me personally, this was the big game changer. I mean, the big game changer, saying no and creating a healthy boundary with my friend in that choice, which then spurned some deeper understanding of where I was as a human, accelerated my ability to understand like this choice of like focusing on the future, focusing on transformation, and then allowing healing work to come through that lens and that part of the process. And what's happened for me, and what happens for the men that do this and say yes, saying yes to the future, saying yes to whatever shows up, is an amplified version of greatness, an amplified version of absolute greatness. So try it. Try it. Ask yourself, how am I focused on the past? How much am I focused on the past? How much am I focused on all this freaking healing work that I need to do? Sometimes it feels like a mountain, like, oh my God, like for me, there was a point where I was like, oh my God, there's so much that I need to get through. There's so much that I need to get through. Once I get through all of this, then I can have this amazing future. Anybody ever feel that way? What a terrible way to set yourself up. Like, you're never going to be happy until you move a mountain. Yeah, I'm going to move this mountain, and then I'm going to have a small window to actually go ahead and have a great future. Like, literally, this is all mind stuff. Like, negate that. Get rid of that whole idea that there's so much that you need to do. There's so much trauma that we had. There's so much stuff that we don't see about ourselves. Like, blow it away. Be here now and realize that your life is short and that you have an opportunity in this moment in time to create magic in your life. Magic. This is the gift of being alive in this moment in time. If you're watching this, you have a computer or a phone or something, or you're here on this live broadcast, and you have the ability to create magic in your life. Focus on that. Don't worry about the smoke and dust of the past. Worry and focus upon the brightness, the golden sunshine of the future. This is the path of greatness, okay? And there's ways that we can do that. There's ways that we can cultivate our ability to do that. And that's the big opportunity, my brothers.